Hey friends, my name's Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. Welcome to the show. It's Friday Fart Bags. What is it? Fancy Gear Friday? Fancy Gear Friday. We're gonna do mailbag, which is where we're gonna start talking about some of the fancy gear. So we're gonna do that early. We're gonna take a look at what $870 gets you. How to make the absolute most expensive analog goggles. I'm not ready. Hold on. The absolute most expensive analog goggles. Oh, come on, computer.
In the world.
And this is, of course, a Q&A live stream, as they all are. Any questions that you've got, leave them in the chat. Type CiottiFPV anywhere in your message, and it'll light up an orange for me, and we'll talk about it. For the record, I did not pay $870, not even close, for this HDZero setup. But yeah, all said and done, to get this setup, right here, it would cost $870. I didn't realize that. I just, like, I knew that the HDZero goggles were expensive, and that you then had to put a receiver on it, and that you had to buy the receiver thing, and that you would have to have antennas, and then you would have to have more antennas. But I did not realize that it would add up to quite that much. Get out of here! Get out of here! So yeah, that was wild. I figured that out about an hour ago when I was doing the thumbnail and whatnot. But like I said, we're gonna talk about that in a little bit. I have tons of analog drift footage to share with you, and a little discussion about all up weight and runtime. Because as soon as I got these yesterday, I went directly to chase some little RC drift cars and flew a whole bunch of batteries, analog, which I haven't done in a while, for about the last 3 months, I think. I've pretty much flown only walk snail because that was the only way that I, pretty much every time I would go, I go every other week, every other Thursday or so. Sometimes I'll go every week, but it's about every other week. Every time I would go, I would show up with a different setup to try to get analog pushed out to the big ass monitors. Here, let me show you what I mean, in case you're new. So there's TVs on the wall. There they are. So there's TVs on the wall at this place. There we are. And so 4 big ass, I don't know, I would say like 38 inch, 36 inch, maybe 40 something inch flat screens that are hooked together, you know, like whatever. I don't know how they do that, but I'm sure there's a box back behind your that they feed the one HDMI into that breaks it up into the 4 big ass screens so that you have one massive screen on the wall. And yeah, pretty much every week for the last like 2 months, every other week, every time I've gone, I've tried a different way of getting analog up onto those screens. And I've just completely struck out over and over and over and over and over again. Pyrodrone sells a little VRX that has HDMI out. At first I bought that, didn't work right, returned it. They sent me another one, same problem. The product is like, I don't know, defective or something, or it doesn't like being hooked up to these screens, I guess. I'm actually, this actually reminds me, I need to follow up with Pyrodrone. I sent the last one back. They were supposed to refund me and I haven't heard back from them. So I need to follow up with them. They probably already took care of it, but so yeah, struck out on that piece. It's like a gold colored little box. It's like $28. I was so excited. And then I started to, so I had already tried, I have a little, one of the little screens, you know, one of the little monitors, FPV monitors, which has a plug on it for video out. It's like an 1/8 inch plug, like a headphone looking plug, the small headphone plugs. And I tried that. That didn't work right. The problem with both that and the Pyrodrone box thing is that if I went any more than like 10 feet away, it would just start to blink and blue screen, and it was just unusable. So then I started to try to output from my HD3s, because they've got a 1/8 inch plug here that outputs AV. And so I tried running this into a box that I got from Amazon that'll take component in and convert it to HDMI. That didn't work. I then returned that box, got a different box. That didn't work. I then tried a different cable. That didn't work. And yeah, I tried another guy that actually flies there, Stu, his goggles. That didn't work. His cable, that didn't work. And I actually messaged Bardwell about it. And I was like, dude, do you remember from analog days any like weirdness about outputting to screens? Like, so I know that the output here works, because when I hook these up to the Immersion RC Power Play, it's totally fine. So I know that this is outputting audio and video. I started to dig, and I found some older articles talking about some, I don't know. It's I copied and pasted it into a message to Joshua, which I now can't get to because Facebook has just banned me for absolutely no reason. And so, yeah, I don't know. There's some weirdness regarding like hertz, 600 and something hertz, maybe. I don't know. There's some weirdness that I guess the Immersion RC Power Play, since it's designed to work with goggles, is able to deal with, that these monitors and this HDMI out setup is just not working. And so one of Joshua's suggestions was, well, the HDZero goggles have HDMI out. You might need to use those. I was like, oh, for Christ's sakes. And then I talked about that on a live stream. And Michael D actually messaged me and made me a hell of an offer on this set of HDZero goggles with a whole bunch of other stuff. But, well... So, massive shout out to Michael D for hooking a brother up with these HDZero goggles for a great deal. Like, so I really appreciate it, brother. It's very, very cool of you. And yeah, I am now on the HDZero goggle train. This is the very first version, which apparently has some loose lens or loose screen thing. Seemed fine to me. I'm super impressed by these. Good God, do these fit well. They come with two different face plates. One of them that's a little bit flatter and one of them that's a little bit more round. And the little more round face plate here fits my face perfect, man. Holy cow, these are incredibly comfy goggles. And very, very impressive product. Like, within... So, like, I got these out of the box, started setting things up to get them going. Didn't even really put them on my face before I was out the door to the drift car place last night. And set them up just like this. And got there and started using them. And, like, my God, man, within like... a half an hour, I was just completely blown away. Like, these are $600 new, which is an unbelievable amount of money. But like the fit and finish, the menu, there are so many things about these goggles that like it makes sense that they cost what they cost. I'm really, really, really impressed by these. I would never have paid $600 for them. I wouldn't even have paid what Carl was willing to give me a pretty nice discount on these. I still probably wouldn't have paid that. But that's mainly because for me they're analog goggles. I've gone down the HDZero rabbit hole a bunch, and I just can't. It's just not for me. I get it for racers, but outside of racing, I just can't figure out HDZero. I can't figure out what, how it would be used in a freestyle setting, or a cinematic setting, in a way that it would have like a significant set of advantages over analog or walk snail or O3 or Vistas. I just call old school DJI Vistas, for the record. That's just me. I have my own set of sort of priorities, and I will be honest, the 90, I am very curious, and I might as well do it now. I am very curious about the 90 frame per second camera setup. Maybe that will change my mind. But compared to, I just, the big thing that kills me here with HDZero is that analog, it doesn't look enough better than analog to warrant the VTX selection. The goggles, hands down the best goggles, and yeah, best goggles in FPV, I think, right? Because you can put analog on them. They've got the interlaced, the best analog DVR, interlaced and 60 frames a second, as you could see by the footage I was playing at the intro. Build quality is phenomenal. The menu system is great. The feature set is ridiculous. They have an on-off switch. They have HDMI in, HDMI out, headphones, microphone built in, The SD card is easy to get in and out. There's just all these things about these goggles that I really do think make them the best goggles in FPV. But there's just not a lightweight, inexpensive VTX option, and with the video quality not being that much better than analog, I can't justify it. It's I'll be honest, it's mainly the cost. Like money no object, I think I could maybe wrap my head around it, but I'm just having a really rough time. Like I said, maybe the 90 frame per second camera will change my mind. But here's the thing. The 90 frame per second camera makes these, brings the latency on these in line with analog. It's not better than analog, I don't think. I mean, it depends on which analog camera you're running, but I run low latency analog cameras. And so I cannot wrap my head around a tiny little bit better video quality, the same latency. Well, like, you know, pros and cons, right? Pros, little bit better latency, little bit better video quality. That's kind of it versus analog. It doesn't really seem to have better range than analog. I've heard people say that it has worse range. I don't know about that, but tag me in the chat if I'm missing something in the pros column here, because the only real pro, all said and done, from analog that I can figure out is slightly better video quality. I'm sure that I'm missing something. What's another pro versus analog of the HDZero system? And then in the con, you know, and that's like that's a small pro. And then in the cons column is money. It's a big con. So yeah, I love that this product exists, and it's weird. Like, I almost wish I was a racer so that I could use this more. And I am going to use it. These are going to become my analog goggles, because why not? Like, why wouldn't they? But for somebody buying these at full price, I can't wrap my head around it. I need help. And maybe using them for longer will make me understand, but I ran them for a while last night. I ran them for like 2 hours last night, and as impressed as I was, it's like they're not that. This sounds insane. It sounds completely insane, but like they're just not that. I'd be totally happy running these 5-year-old HD3s. I know that's an insane thing to say, but like the HDZero goggles have a ton of extra stuff, but like none of it is that groundbreaking, especially to offset the amount of money. And just the fact that like you can get the analog stuff all over the damn place. I don't know, like I'm so weirded out. Like I still spent a good chunk of money on this on these. I got an incredible deal, but I still spent money that, yeah, still spent money on these. And so, believe me, I want to, like, absolutely fall in love with these, because they're mine now, right? I didn't, like, rent these. I'm not borrowing these. Like, these are now mine. And, yeah, maybe that... I don't think the 90 frame per second camera is going to be groundbreaking, because I'm already used to... I'm already used to the low latency of analog, right? So like the 90 frame per second camera just brings this latency in line with analog. So like, and that's a great example of this. Like there's all of these things that, because I use analog a lot, I kind of take for granted. And like other people who started with digital, or who've been running digital a lot and then move over to these, they notice all of these things that I'm spoiled by, and I already, like, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Like, so for somebody coming from digital, these are unreal and like incredible and groundbreaking. For somebody coming from analog, though, me, I'm like, well, you know, they're kind of heavy. They're very comfortable. Don't get me wrong. They're very comfortable. They are heavy. I would say they're at least man, they're probably like twice as heavy as the old Fatsharks. Look, here it is. Fatshark HD3s, HDOs, HDO2s punch way above their weight, especially if you get them used for like $200. They're just ridiculously good for what they are. And that makes every other goggle have to work incredibly hard, like absurdly hard. These are phenomenal for what they are. I can't possibly imagine. I really cannot possibly imagine spending $867 on this setup. I would, if I had, I would be like, yo. But I'm not a racer. I'm coming from a lot of analog stuff, right? I'm like the perfect storm of things that will not fully appreciate these goggles. All that being said, I'm blown away by these. There's like individual fans. There's like a top fan. There's side fans. There's individual controls for them. Like, this product is absolutely worth every single penny. But for me, I'm not totally sure. I love that I have them, though. We're going to take a look at some of the deinterlaced 60 frame per second footage that I got last night. Unfortunately, I really do need to get... So I flew this a whole bunch last night, and I really... looking at the footage a little bit ago, it really smacked me in the face that I need to get this Caddx Ant camera off here. This is not the camera for this dimly lit location that I'm at. I also need to switch the ducts out, which makes me super sad. These are hand-dyed, perfectly purple ducts from Tiny Whoop. But these are the old-school Mobula6 ducts, and this carbon fiber frame works really well with the crown ducts. You can actually mount the duct below the carbon fiber, which brings the round part of the duct down even with the propeller, and it saves weight. So yeah, this is going to unfortunately lose these gorgeous purple ducts sooner than later, but I'll pick another cool color to put on there. Might actually just be clear. Maybe black, I don't know. But yeah, this will get even lighter. We'll talk more about this in a little bit. Let me get caught up on chat. I just kind of dove right into it because why the hell not? Kevin Sumner was first in the chat. Great Scott was next. Northern Tier. Johnny then. Big Fran. I asked Big Fran because, you know, I'm an old person. Big Fran, would you say that you're a big fan? That's all. See you later. Sorry. Sometimes you just have to. Northern... wait, no. Freelo Joe, Hockey Rounds, Gusto FPV, AJ Farah, Scott FPV, Slow Cow FPV, Northern Tier, Wake and Bake, Gusto, Daniel 1964, Douglas Otwell, Troy Prelog, Frank Nicholas, Moss, AJ Farah, Ethan W, Tongue Out FPV. There's a million more people, but we're going to... Every once in a while, I just do the first page. If you want to hear your name, you got to get in early. Northern Tier tagged me and said, are those are pretty goggles. They look worth $867. Who will the lucky winner be? LOL. Yeah, these goggles will certainly not be given away. Moss says, what's up? Recommended frame for 2 or 2.5 inch freestyle outdoor? 2.5 inch, I would say the Quadmula... Oh God, what's it called? The Jin, the DJIN. That's what I would do for 2.5 inch. I don't really know of any 2-inch frames at the moment, mainly because going from 2 to 2.5, it only gets ever so slightly bigger. Like, there's not a single gap that you would have missed if you were flying a 2-inch rig instead of a 2.5-inch rig. But when you go up to 2.5, the propeller selection, the efficiency, and the thrust go way up. So basically what I'm saying here is that I just don't recommend you do a 2-inch build. If you've already got like motors that would be perfect for a 2-inch build, I kind of get it. I don't know what to recommend though. I don't know if I haven't looked for, is probably the biggest part of the problem, a freestyle 2-inch frame. If you can find one, send me a link somewhere over on CiottiFPV.com all my contact info is there. Instagram, no more Facebook. Not sad to see it go, to be honest, but sad to see every single conversation I've ever had with everyone and thousands and thousands of images that I've shot be gone. That's kind of a shitty thing for Facebook to do to people, but, you know, evil companies are evil companies, and they can burn in hell. AJ Farah says, you'll be late for your funeral. Hopefully. So yeah, sorry, dude. I don't have any 2-inch recommendations other than don't do it. To go to 2.5-inch. You're gonna get better pretty much everything. Hockey Round says free frame Friday too. Indeed, yeah. Remind me in a little bit, and I'll do 5 more Cockroach 65 V3 frame giveaways. I have not replied to many people from Friday. I apologize for that, but I took yesterday. I'm sorry, from Wednesday rather. I took yesterday pretty much all the way off, and Maggie and I were running around doing stuff all day. Or was that Wednesday? I don't know. I don't know what happened. I'm confused. SlowCal FPV says, at what point should you change a motor that is starting to sound damaged? Great question. Is there a risk to other components flying with a damaged motor? Great question. Great couple of questions there, SlowCal. I'm going to answer the second question first. Absolutely. When motors start to get beat up, they start to vibrate more. Those vibrations go from the motor and propeller into the frame, up into the AIO. Even though it's soft mounted, the little rubber grommets can only do so much. So those vibrations go up into the AIO, and then the gyro is on the AIO. So now the gyro has this constant vibration that the filtering has to try to filter out. And then if the filtering doesn't fully filter it out, the PID loop is going to have to deal with it. The PID loop's job is to make the quad do exactly what your sticks are doing. You don't sit here and do this with your sticks, unless you fly Spang, I guess. But for the most part, you don't sit here and do this with your stick. You... Or do you? Hopefully not. Hopefully it's bigger than that. God. Why am I such a fucking child? So typically with your thumbsticks on your transmitter, you pervy fuck, you hold the sticks relatively quiet and like normal, right? And so the gyro is going to get the impacts from you moving the stick, but it doesn't deal with this, right? So if the gyro is seeing these vibrations, the filtering is going to try to filter those out before it gets to the PID loop. If it's vibrating too hard, the filtering won't be able to get all of those shakes out. Those shakes will make it into the gyro. I'm sorry, those shakes will make it into the PID loop, and then the PID loop will try to fix that problem. And so let's say you've got a vibration that's this frequency. The PID loop runs at either 3,200 or 4,000 or 8,000 cycles per second. So minimum in 1/3,200ths of a second, right? Just instant, over and over and over and over and over and over again. It's going to see, even if it's vibrating like this, it's going to see that vibration, and it's going to say, whoa, he's not telling me to do that on the thumbsticks. I need to fix that because the thumbsticks are solid. He wants me to be solid, but I got this weird offset point motion coming in. So the PID loop is going to fire if the vibration is going this way, the PID loop is going to break these motors down and fire these motors up to try to fix that problem. And then 1/3,200th of a second later, it's going to do that again and 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 again. And that is going to put a ton of stress on the ESC FETs because it's just dumping power. And the other thing that's going to happen, right, is it does all that with this vibration. Well, then it vibrates back the other way. So it just spun these motors up. Now it's going to break these motors down. So it's just constantly speeding up and slowing down the motors. And yeah, that's going to eat a lot of battery. It's going to be really hard on the FETs. They're going to get hot. So absolutely, there is a risk to your FETs. Or I mean, to be honest, it's going to make the whole, on an AIO, everything is together. Everything is on the same ground plane. So when the FETs get hot, the ground plane gets hot, and everything gets hot. So the whole AIO is susceptible because it's going to have to deal with that extra heat being generated. One of the many reasons that AIOs kind of suck, right? Like a separate flight controller, a separate ESC, separate receiver, separate VTX. If the ESC is freaking out and getting hot, it's only the ESC that's at risk. None of the rest of the components are on the same ground plane, on the same PCB to eat up all that heat. But with an AIO, everything's together, right? So all that extra heat dumping in, if your ELRS receiver chip is like on its last leg, it could shit the bed, right? So absolutely, there is a risk to other components when flying with a damaged motor, for sure. At what point should you change a motor that's starting to sound damaged is the question of the hour, though, because it might take me an hour to answer it. It's tough. It's easy for me because I've done this a lot. For you guys, it's very difficult because you have not cooked a dozen ESCs from motors that vibrate too hard. You've not had hundreds of motors that vibrate in different levels of damage and shit. And it's hard for me to convey to you how much vibration is too much, right? Like, I know it from just sitting here and holding the quad and feeling it. That does you no good through the internet. So here's the best I can do for you. When you build a fresh rig, that's the most important time because it's the cleanest the motors and the propellers are ever going to be. So every single time you build a fresh, even easier than that, every single time you put a fresh set of motors on a quad, also put a fresh set of propellers on. Go into the motors tab. Before you put the propellers on, go into the motors tab, spin the motors up, hold the quad. Feel how much vibration there is in those motors when they're totally fresh. The other thing you can do is take every single quad that you own, take the propellers off, and do this. Spin them up in the motors tab like I've shown you a million times, or just go into turtle mode and slowly spin each individual motor up. All right? You need to establish a baseline. This is your baseline of the least possible vibrations. I wish I could just say to you, like, when motors are fresh, there's no vibrations at all. So that's your baseline. That's not true. There is still an amount of vibration. And there's also a different amount of vibration at different RPMs. At around 30% throttle, for whatever reason, on like all of these motors, there are more vibrations than at any other motor RPM. And that's one of the things that you need to learn. This is why I always tell you to slowly ramp turtle mode up when you're doing the vibration test. And it's just a thing. You just need to do it a whole bunch of times. So if you're starting from total scratch, grab all your rigs, take all the propellers off. Tiny whoops, you don't really have to take the propellers off, but it actually helps because the propellers might be bent. So take all the props off, put it into the motors tab, spin each motor up individually, nice and slow. Pay attention to the fact that around 30%, that's where it's going to vibrate the hardest. And just get a feeling, a literal feeling in your fingers as you're holding the damn thing, for what, how much vibration there is. I mean, if you have a fresh rig, great, because that's going to be your cleanest. If you don't, you'll just get some sort of a feel. And then as you fly the rig more, and then, okay, so then put propellers on to any tiny whoops and spin them up with propellers. If you have beat propellers, put those on. And then if you have clean propellers, put those on as well. Again, you got to establish a baseline. You just have to do some testing to get a feeling for what's what. One of the other cool things to notice is that your front motors are almost always going to vibrate harder than your rear motors. That's just another kind of data point for you to have in your head of like, okay, cool. These front motors have a lot of vibes. If you've got like a relatively fresh set of motors, the rear motors are probably damn near perfect unless you've really hammered that rig. So that might be a way for you to be able to feel if you don't have like a perfectly fresh out of the box set of motors. If you have a set of motors that's been only, 5, 10, 20 batteries, the rear motors on that rig are probably pretty fresh. And so that'll give you some sort of a baseline of like what a fresh set of motors should feel like. So if you're building a fresh rig, this is best case scenario. Build a fresh rig, do all of that, put the damn thing together, and push the tune. Easiest thing to do is just to take the master multiplier and just start pushing it up. You're going to push that up. At a certain point, you're going to go too far, and when you arm the rig, it's going to sound weird. When you chop the throttle, it's not going to bring the motor RPMs down as fast as it just did when you hadn't pushed the tune so far. So like, start the tune down the middle, fly it real quick. Then take the master multiplier and go from 1.0 to 1.3. Fly it, make sure it's still normal. It'll probably be still normal. Go from 1.3 to 1.6. Fly it. Now it might start to act weird. If it's still normal, go up to 1.9. Then it'll almost certainly start to act weird, sound weird, fly away when you arm it. The motors don't spin down when you chop the throttle. You're looking for that. You're trying to find that point where you have pushed the tune too far and it is now overactive. And then you're going to back it off a little bit. So you've got a fresh rig with motors that are as clean as they'll ever be. You've got a set of fresh props that are as non-bent up as they'll ever be. And you've pushed the tune as far as it can possibly go on that individual rig. And then you've backed it off. So now, as soon as you start to beat the motors or the props up, it's gonna get even closer. You've taken it from like on the edge to safe, but when you were on the edge, it was with a totally clean vibration free as possible system. So now that's your line of what's possible on that rig. As you beat the motors up, that line of what's possible is going to come back, and it's eventually going to hit where you've got that master multiplier, and then you're going to start to get those weird behaviors again. And so now you can pull your master slider back down. And then you can beat it up even more, and then you pull the master slider back down, and you beat it up more. And now, as long as you keep doing that, the rest of the quad is not at risk. Is there a risk to other components flying with a damaged motor? Yes, only if the tune is over the limit. If you continue to pull the tune down with how beat up the motors and the propellers are getting, you're good to go. It becomes a decision that you have to make of how shitty am I willing to pull this PID loop down before I actually change the motor, right? That's like the full kind of thing, right? Some people just that are completely unwilling to take a slider and move it around a little bit, they just leave it alone and then just beat the damn thing to death until the amount of vibrations in the physical system evens up with where the tune is, and then they say, okay, done. Take the motors, take the props off, swap them fresh, away we go. That's fine as long as your PID tune is not really aggressive. If you have a really aggressive PID tune, you're going to be changing motors all the time if you crash a lot in that scenario, right? So this is another big part of the reason that I would rather teach you all how to tune than try to give you tunes from my rigs. Not that it would do any good, because every single one of my rigs is tuned differently because of exactly this. This is why every single one of my rigs has a different tune, because they're all in varying degrees of destruction. Some of them are really clean, and I've got the sliders pushed up to match that. Some of them are really dirty, and I've got the sliders closer to the center to match that. Some of them have BMI 270 gyros, which are really sensitive to vibrations. Some of them have MPU 6000s, which are not all that, which are better about it. So yeah, that's the full answer. Great question, dude. Thank you for allowing me to talk about that. This is something that I try to talk about as often as possible without beating a horse to death. As long as there's still people asking the question, I'm going to keep talking about it. And I try to kind of explain it a little bit differently every time, so that if the past 3 times I've described it, it hasn't quite clicked, maybe today it does. Everything okay? Why is he barking like that? That was a really angry bark from the dog. Hold on. Here's some footage. That's a really weird bark. Hold on. I'll be right back. This is weird. All right, it's fine. Teddy and Azalea were just playing hard, apparently. That was at 50% speed, by the way. So... Hang on, I just ran up the stairs as fast as I could. I'm not in great shape. I'm skinny, but I'm in terrible shape. I'm skinny fat. So yeah, that is a super important thing. Don't be afraid of tuning, guys. The sliders make it so easy. If you push a slider too far, when you arm it, it's going to be very obvious. It's either going to oscillate and fly away, so disarm it right away and you're fine, or yeah, no, it's very obvious. When the tune is overactive, the quad makes it very obvious. Every time you change anything in tuning or filtering, you need to be like on top of that arm switch. When you arm it, you got to be ready to disarm it. When you add throttle, you got to be ready to disarm it. When you start flying it around, you got to be ready to disarm it. So the first 30 seconds of I've made changes in beta flight, you're just on guard to make sure it's not doing anything weird. You're going to listen to it. You're going to look at it. You're going to, if you really want to be crazy about it, bring it down and touch the motors to make sure they're not hot. Other than that, you're fine. You can also keep an eye on your battery voltage to make sure it's not sagging like crazy. Put your amp readout in your OSD as well. Make sure there's not a whole bunch of amps. But like, it's so obvious when the tune is too aggressive. It's very obvious. The rig tries to fly away. You chop the throttle and it does like an extra little bounce. It just doesn't act normal. Like, there is a way. Like, not every single, but 99% of the time that you've spent flying, the quads have been acting normal. When it's not acting normal, don't ignore that. Like, that's the biggest thing. Don't just like, oh, I don't know, it's acting weird, so I just kept flying it and it caught on fire. What? No. Like, if it's acting weird, stop. Stop. Like, for the love of God, stop. And like, at the very least, just look at it. Like, just physically look at it and be like, why are you acting weird, buddy? If you can't physically see something, think, what did I just do? Oh, I took the slider and I moved it from 1.0 to 2.0. There you go. Like, the quad will tell you when it's unhappy. And so when you start playing around with tuning, you just have to pay a little bit of attention, and you'll very easily be able to tell. Cool. Hockey Round says we got that. CQB FPV says, what are your thoughts on OpenIPC? I don't even know what that is. OpenIPC. Open firmware for your IP camera. The hell's an IP camera? Internet protocol? Is that what IP is? Master of your streams. Oh, I think I saw Dan Harmon playing around with this. I don't know, man. I'm not a computer guy. I'm a fairly analog. Look, I still jerk off manually. Okay. I don't know, Jackie. That's a quote from Big Lebowski. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not an internet guy, so I don't. Oh wait, no, it's FPV related. Okay, hold on. Oh, this is that. Yeah, no. Joshua talked about this. There's on Joshua's live stream clips. He talked about it, and he seems to know way more about it than I do. And basically, what he had to say and I don't quote me on this, but from what I remember, is that it's a fairly small project. It's a big mountain to climb. And there's been a lot of like small projects that are big mountains to climb that have just not, have not like. There also doesn't seem to be a major gain from it. Like it doesn't seem like it's going to be God's gift to everything. So I don't know, until it's a little bit more fleshed out. It's, yeah, I don't know. I don't know enough about it to really dive into it. But there's on Joshua's live stream clips, he's got a 16-minute and 4-second talk about it. So I would just refer to that. I don't know shit about shit. Hockey Round says, spicy analog. Spicy analog. Ramdako says, yeah, but you like HDZero goggles. I do. They're phenomenal goggles. Fantastic goggles. I'm blown away by them. Kevin Sumner says, want to borrow one of my 90 frame per second Rip Squeaks. No, I'm going to force myself to do a 90 frame per second build. But thank you for that. I did the mailbag thing, and then I forgot to finish the mailbag. Shout out to Bob Bruce. We traded some stuff. I've now got another set of the Generation 1 blue iGao motors that I'm going to take the bells off of and put onto the 33,000 kV stators, and that will be the set of motors for my Walksnail 75mm freestyle rig. So stay tuned for that. We'll be diving back into Walksnail stuff sooner than later. So thank you very much, Bob Bruce, for those. That is, I traded him a Beta FPV Cross AIO for those, which is a great deal. And then Johnny Cat, thank you so much for the little foam battery tray adapters. Very, very cool of you, my friend. So thank you for that. Here's the box that the HDZero goggles came in, very Apple-ish. And I also got a HDZero Whoop Light VTX. And which camera is this? Is this the... Yeah, the tiny little camera. I've done the HDZero Whoop thing once already. I don't know if I'm going to do it again. Analog. The analog tiny whoops are 5-point-something grams lighter than the HDZero whoops. The Walksnail whoop is 6 grams lighter. I can't wrap my... For racing, I totally get it, but if I'm going to carry around 5 extra grams, it better be 1080-60 on a tiny whoop. So I don't know. This might end up as a giveaway, or I might sell it. I can't figure it out. I just can't figure it out. I can't figure out what this is for outside of racing. That's like the thing with all of HDZero for me. I want to be able to justify it for something other than racing, and I'm just having such a hard time. When I was talking about this earlier, though, the chat was going crazy, so I'm hoping that there's some shit in chat that might change my mind. Lucas Christensen says, on the subject, you know what I would love is to trade this. If anybody has a 90 frame per second, nah, it's not a fair trade. Never mind. The VT, that's not a fair trade at all. This is much less in value than a 90 frame per second camera with that good VTX. I mean, if somebody wants to do that trade, I would absolutely love it. But yeah, I'm gonna try the 90 frame per second camera with that big giant VTX. Yeah, that big giant VTX is really again for me, it smacks me in the face as the issue with HDZero, is that like that VTX is expensive and it's big and heavy. If I'm gonna have an expensive, big and heavy VTX, it's gonna be a Vista, it's gonna be an 03, it's gonna be Walksnail. HDZero is in this weird, like, you know, analog over here, like true digital stuff over here. HDZero is in the middle, and I'm just having such a hard time with it. Ramdago says, respect the poor aspect. Yep, that's fair. Lucas Christensen says, on the subject, used Fatsharks or analog module for HDZero. If you already have the HDZero goggles, absolutely put the analog module on the side. It looks ridiculous. Like this is really like this is totally fucking Doc Brown from Back to the Future ish, right? But I mean, we look like assholes anyway, so I mean, whatever. Yeah, it's not that bad having them off on the side. I don't love it. I wish there was a way they could have put them up here on the angle, but I mean, once you have them on your head, it is what it is. And all you need is a little 90-degree. I do have to fix this antenna setup though. I'm not happy with the. There's a lot of garbage in the video. I think maybe because this stubby antenna is completely behind the patch antenna. So I'm gonna put a nice long antenna on this for next week and see if the video reception's a little bit better. But yeah, if you already have the HDZero goggles, I would definitely not recommend buying used Fatsharks. Just use those. They have much better DVR. And yeah, one set of goggles to rule them all. Grey Hat says HDZero deinterlaces the analog signal. I believe it's only on the DVR though. I don't think in your goggle view you're getting the deinterlaced video. Maybe you are. So better quality analog than analog. Open source, can upgrade and work on it yourself. Excellent frame rate on HDZero. Open source, upgrade and work on it yourself. That's interesting. But I mean, in 8 years of doing this, I've never once needed to. There's never once been a situation where I've been like, God damn, I wish my goggles were open source. So I can't really have that in the pros column. Excellent frame rate on HDZero, sure, but it's the same as analog, right? So again, that can't go in the pro column for me because, you know, I'm coming from this analog world. That's the problem, man. Like, again, if you come from digital and then you go to HDZero, there's a shitload of stuff in the pros column. Coming from analog to HDZero, I'm struggling. Grey Hat says, you definitely have to try 90 frames per second. Mr. Huggy says, apparently there are new camera and cheaper HDZero VTX and cameras coming out. That's pretty cool. And the 90 frame per second camera is very good. I've heard that from so many people. I'm very interested in checking the 90 frame camera out. Nate Adams says, I've done back-to-back with HDZero and analog. The video quality is better with the Nano 90 camera, but is so much better with Micro V3. What's Micro V3? Cost for cam plus VTX is not that different. Micro V3, what the hell is that? HDZero Micro V3. What is that? Oh, it's a camera. Okay, HDZero Micro V3 camera. Is it 90 frames? It's not. It's 60. I'm pretty. Forgive me, friends. I'm pretty dumb on the HDZero stuff. I've not kept up with it at all. So you're gonna get to see me kind of learn more about it. So this is different than the 90 frame per second camera. I'm gonna make the assumption that this camera is more geared towards image quality, and then the 90 is more geared towards latency. That just sort of makes sense. Okay. All right. Fair enough. By the way, thank you to all of you that are now going to educate me on HDZero as we go on this adventure together. Grey Hat says 90 frames per second is much more than just latency. How so? Ramdanko says, what do the goggles weigh? With all this stuff on them, they are... This is with the battery as well. But I mean, you know, this is really what they weigh. 500... They weigh like a 5... They're like a 5-inch rig on your face. 530 grams, and I'm kind of like jankily holding them up. And I have a fairly small battery on here. I have a 2S 2500 mAh battery on here. So, yeah, they're heavy. Versus my Fatsharks, which are... 340 grams. 3.5-inch rig versus a 5-inch rig. I will say though, with how comfy the faceplate and how rounded the faceplate is on these, you can definitely tell that they're heavier, but I would not say that they're uncomfortable. It's just like, and also I've got an HDMI cable hooked up to them, which is kind of what I noticed last night. I've gotten really good over the years at keeping my head up when I'm flying to keep the antennas pointed up. And what I noticed last night is that I kept doing this, which again is probably because there's an HDMI cable hanging off of them, which is pulling down and back. But it's also partially because they're heavy, I think. Nate Adams says 90 frame per second and low latency link like Tracer Ghost ELRS feel faster than analog to me. I think Mads Tech also found slight latency advantage over analog. Do you happen to remember what analog camera he was testing? Because the camera has everything to do with the latency in analog. You have to pick a low latency camera, and some of the cameras are hysterically low latency. It's really wild. Grey Hat says, if you're talking about used price, you can definitely get a kitted out HDZero bundle for $570. That's pretty cool. That's still a hideous amount of money, but a hell of a lot better than $867. Jester says, I'll make you a great offer when you're done. I don't know if I'll be done. Because the analog is so good with these, I don't really know if I'll ever get rid of these. If Michael D wants these back, I will probably sell them back to him. He's I'm not going to air his he's taking a break from the hobby. I'm sure he'll be back though. You can't just leave FPV forever. So yeah, if when he comes back he wants to buy them back, I'll almost certainly do that because that's just only fair. But yeah, Brent Anderson, let's see him on your face. I guess I just did that a minute ago, but yeah, I don't know. They sit really nice. I got to get rid of this goggle strap. I hate these big, thick goggle straps. But yeah, they sit really nice. God, are they comfortable? I don't even know what foam this is, but it's really good. There's a newbie drone foam that you can also get for them. The buttons are in a good spot. The power switch is off here on the side, which is really nice. You can't. On the walk snail goggles, the power switch is right here where your thumb sits every time you grab the goggles. So like every time I grab the walk snail goggles, I almost push the power button, and sometimes like that's not what I want to be doing. So yeah, they did a much better job putting the power switch over here behind the barrel connector. Like I said earlier, the goggles are fucking phenomenal. I'm so impressed by them. They're worth every penny that they cost. The struggle for me is HDZero as a like on the whole. Yes, Preparation H feels good on the whole, but I'm trying my best to get through that. Brandon, we got that. BeepTube says, as a huge HDZero fan and longtime user, I think you're pretty much right. Oh, come on now, really? I was reading those first dozen words. I was like, here we go. Here's somebody that's going to turn me. I think you're pretty much right about it being best suited for racing. I also managed to push it into service for freestyle at 1 watt in certain situations. See, that's what I'm looking for. The second person I'm seeing say that the stream froze. Are we good? Are we okay? Hold on. Let me make sure. I better not. No, we're good. Okay. All right. I don't know what happened. I can't tell when it freezes for you guys. I gotta scroll back up and find my place. YouTube did the thing. Here we go. Drone Daddy says, I went from Fatshark Scouts to the HDZero goggles, and I wouldn't trade them for the world. Beautiful picture, easy to modify, if that's what you're into. Fatshark Scouts are a box goggle, I believe. Yeah, going from a box goggle to a non-box goggle is always going to be a massive step up. So yeah, you took two major step ups. You took a step up from box goggles to individual screens, and you also took the step up to HDZero. So yeah, that's one way to be blown away by your purchase, right? Is to take like a big step up. The problem for me is I'm taking a smaller step up, right? Like old school, like these, they're just great. HD3s are just fantastic goggles that I've been in love with forever. So it's harder for me to kind of justify it. Traffics AU says you need a dad joke, Bill. Nice. Not me says which whoop was it that you held with the purple shrouds in the carbon frame? This is a custom build. This is what I use to chase the little RC drift cars. Matter of fact, let me get some of that footage rolling here for you guys, because I can just talk over it. Hold on. Just put it on the wrong screen. Let's bring this over here, and then that way it won't cover up the chat. So yeah, this is flying from last night. I've played a lot of walk snail flight footage chasing the drift cars lately. I have not played much analog flight footage chasing the drift cars. There was a pretty big adjustment period. I think by this point I had adjusted to analog being so much lighter. So yeah, just pay attention to the just like my ability to kind of like manage my elevation and just stay in close proximity to these cars. Unfortunately, they drastically changed the racetrack, and this track layout is much more opened and much faster, which made it a lot more difficult to stay tight to these guys. So I really should have put a couple of walk snail batteries up in the air last night to get a better kind of comparison point. But you know, you're also looking at deinterlaced. This is the best that analog will ever look. These windows here are like metal frames, so I'm getting a bunch of multipathing coming off those windows, I'm sure. I gotta be honest, I'm not super happy with the multi. I mean, this is on a rapid fire number 1. Maybe having that stubby antenna behind the patch antenna was a real big problem. But I mean, I've got a patch antenna pointed at these guys. I'll be super interested next week to get a camera out of the shadow of the patch to see if that helps a little bit with the flashing and the multipathing and whatnot. I'm also very used to walk snail just eating up every single bit of the multipathing. So yeah, there's that. But I did kind of hope that the quality was going to be a little bit better than this. I don't know. This room also has the drop ceiling tiles, which have metal in between each one of them, so that's also not good for multipathing. I mean, I'm not inside of a parking garage with concrete, right? But at the same time, I'm also not in like a wooden floored, nice fluffy couched home. So like in your house, you are going to get less multipathing from these goggles, and it's not really the goggles doing it, it's just the receiver doing it. But yeah, like this is me trying to refine a setup for this location to get the best possible quality in this spot. Hey, this is now a different rig with a different camera. This would be these all right, so this is very obviously 40,000 kV motor battery. I just Stu, the guy that was sitting on the couch across from me here, he flies as well. So I was like, yo, look at this 40,000 kV rig. So this is now on a Newbie Drone BI camera, I think this is. And yeah, 40,000 kV motors. And this is just me kind of like showing him how absolutely absurdly fast, it's whizzing by those guys, how absurdly powerful the 40,000s are. So yeah, what a difference in the camera. Yeah, I need to get this Caddx Ant camera off this little chase rig. So back into chat. Yeah, not me. If you have any other questions about that rig, just let me know. Look at, oh, check this shit out. Hold on. I just gotta brag for a second. Ready? Watch this. No. Hold on. Check this shit out. Ready? Oh, Ciotti looped a person, bro. Didn't get out of it cleanly. But I Ciotti looped a person. How about that shit? And now look at this. I couldn't believe I hit this on the first shot. People dives, bro. That was fun. BeepTube says once you here the rest of the build. I mean, it's just a pretty standard tiny whoop, but yeah, it's the fractal 65 frame, and then 0702 28,500 kV motors, Caddx Ant light camera, which is going to come off. It's got a T motor AIO, which I would not recommend. And it's got a singularity antenna. Pretty simple build. 300 mAh batteries, BT 2.0, nothing crazy. Yeah, the T-motor AIO is fine, but it's just needlessly heavy, really. Go with a Happy Model F4 5 amp AIO, especially the new one when it comes out. BeepTube says, once you get used to the analog-like limits of the penetration performance envelope of HDZero, it's still a lot of fun for proximity freestyle at 90 hertz. Yeah, I'm really hoping that I don't know. The weight and the price of the VTX are a real problem for me. Like, if I'm going to pay that much money and I'm going to have something that's that much heavier than analog, I want a more significant improvement in video quality. That's really it. That's at the end of the day, that is the situation for me. And I don't know how to get past that. I don't know how to get over that. Kevin Sumner says, you can add a battery to the HDZero goggles and get timestamps on your DVR. I need to do it on mine still. What? Timestamps on your DVR? What do you mean timestamps? You can add a battery to the HDZero and get timestamps on your DVR. Tell me more. What's that? I can't wrap my head around that. I feel very dumb right now. Timestamps on the DVR. Oh, so this is me actually playing around with. I put a microphone out on the course. I haven't pulled the audio off of it, but I want to see what it's like to sync up some audio to this drift footage. I think it's silly, but it was just a creative little idea I had. Grey Hat says, my second pack stranger rode along with me. Fun stuff. Nice. Always fun to bring people along for a ride. Grey Hat also says, oh, this is probably in reference to that. Had my first 5-inch in real-life flights yesterday. Killed 2 batteries, props, balance leads. Lost a third in a crash. Lots of fun was had. Got to chase my friend's frisbee golf throws. It's awesome. Chasing stuff is always the best. Quad Mafia says, hello. Off Axis says, I let you do the testing so I don't have to. Hell yeah. Nothing wrong with that. I do that on lots of things with other people. Nate Adams says, ignore my cost statements with analog. Seems like prices are back to normal-ish on Rust, GBS, etc. I was seeing $70-ish during the holidays. Yeah, analog stuff is still wonderfully cheap. Well, I didn't notice the price go up, to be honest. Grey Hat says, my motors tab still will not spin the motors on any quad with the battery plugged. Whooper 5-inch doesn't matter. Sometimes they twitch a little. Have you tried updating your Betaflight configurator? I feel like maybe there was a problem with one at some point. Hey, this is now the Mobula6 2024. You can see the ducts on the bottom of the frame. I'm going to do a little edit. Mobula6 2024 chases drift cars. Unfortunately, though, I'm noticing a bunch of fuzziness in the video, which is a byproduct of how whooped the motors are from the extreme durability testing we did the other night. So that kind of sucks. That this is a fresh set of propellers, and it flies fine. But yeah, the motor shafts got bent up. They're not that bad. I would continue to fly these motors for freestyle for a long time. But for this, more cinematic kind of shit, it just doesn't really make sense to have banged up ass motors. Damn it. That that kind of makes me sad because this camera is actually really nice, and this really does not do any justice to the camera. So I think I'm tempted to change the motors, but then I have to cut the leads off of another set of motors, and that's super annoying. So I don't know. Maybe I'll just use this footage and just put a little disclaimer that says, watch my extreme durability testing for why the image is a little bit fuzzy. The camera is better than this, I promise. Walter Van Den says, can you buy new bearings or axles? If you're talking about bigger motors that use bearings, sort of. Sometimes motor manufacturers will sell replacement bearings. What I always recommend is you just fly the motors really hard. Eventually, you're going to bend a motor shaft, and then you can pull the bearings out of that stator. You can throw that motor bell away, and then you can pull bearings out of that stator. Tiny whoop motors, most tiny whoop motors use bushings instead of bearings, and the bushings don't wear out. I mean, I guess eventually they wear out. But yeah, when it comes to motor bearings or motor bushings, the bells... you ruin the bells a lot faster than you ruin the stators. So just wait until you ruin a bell and then pull the bearings or bushings out of that stator that came off that motor, and there you go. That way you don't have to worry about buying them. Justin Waller says, put a 90 hertz cam on a tiny whoop. I'm pretty sure it would be way too heavy. When I can, just fly analog and get that same super low latency. Ramdogma says, man, it's Friday. We ain't got shit to do. Why not? Who ain't got shit to do? Veritas Weezer says, OpenIPC is a flight control protocol for drones, like Beta Flight, Beta FPV, etc. Is it really? Why did it come up with all video stuff when I searched it? KVFPV says, don't update the goggles to the newest firmware if you want to use analog still. Really? I don't really update stuff. Like, if stuff works, I just kind of leave it alone until there's like some big, unbelievably amazing thing to update it to. Wow, the camera quality just went to absolute hell. What was that about? Hold on. Why was it so bad after this crash? That was not a hard crash. Ready? Look how bad look how fuzzy that is. I guess maybe I just had the throttle up at a point where it was vibrating really hard. Thanks for letting me know that, KV. Bob Bruce, there he is. He says, hell yeah, can't wait to see your build with those modded motors. I'm done with mine, and I've broken 3 frames so far, flying in the house, waiting on more. But I like it best flight that size. Nice, dude. Yeah, I can't wait to get these swapped over. Light Sail says, just landed on the stream. The answer is yes, as a racer. That was at 7:52. It's now 8:16. I think maybe it sounds from context like we were talking about HDZero at 7:52. Johnny then says the HDZero is good for someone wanting to be able to fly walk snail analog and HDZero with one set of goggles. Dude, great point. Thank you, Johnny. I totally forgot about that. So what Johnny is referencing, hold on, I'm going to pause this for a minute. What Johnny is referencing, and actually, hang on, I have to do something real quick to this chase rig. The battery warning voltage is all wrong. It's way too high, so I'm not getting any low voltage warnings. Come on, Betaflight, what are you doing? Okay, what Johnny then is talking about is a setup that I really don't like because it's uncomfortable. But you can't argue with the cost savings, which is that HDZero and Walk Snail both have these backpack units that you can hang off the front of your goggles. There's Betaflight. And there's absolutely no getting around 3.1, 2.9. All right, let's try that. 3.1, 2.9. All right, good. I just needed to do that before I forgot. And so, yeah, HDZero goggles with the walk snail front piece and then analog on the side, like, now we're getting somewhere. Now we're getting to a point where, like, yeah, we kind of do have one goggle to rule them all. Because you've got analog for your tiny whoops, you've got walk snail for your cinematic tiny whoops, and just everything else, right? Everything that you were using old school DJI for, walk snail does better. You don't really need old school DJI anymore unless you have a million Vistas. And then HDZero for racing. What's really funny is, like, I wish somebody would just come out with a set of goggles that are cheap, that just have the screens and analog on the side, and, well, never mind. That's what Fatsharks are. Fatsharks are an analog goggle that you can put the walk snail on the front of, and you could even put the HDZero thing on the front of. But I commonly forget that exists, because putting that VRX on the front of these, it just makes them, like, pull forward off your face, and, like, the bottom of the goggle really digs in here. I don't like it at all on Fatshark goggles, but the faceplate piece on these HDZeros is significantly taller and significantly more comfortable. So, like, if I put these on, and I'm just going to, like, simulate hanging that little backpack on the front. Yeah, I still don't like that. God knows how hard I'm pushing down, but it's definitely nowhere near as uncomfortable as with Fatsharks. Yeah, that's not that bad. I still don't like it. Like, it's still just, like, loading up here. But boy, that is not terrible. Versus with Fatsharks, when you do that, because they don't have as big of a piece that touches your actual face, when you do that with these, it just sucks, man. And these also push on your nose. I'm now noticing. Yeah, no. These are good because they're lightweight. Fatsharks are amazing because of how lightweight they are. If you start to make them more heavy, yeah, they're not as good. So, dude, thank you for calling that out. That is 100% true. Yeah, it's an awful lot hanging off your face, but hey, whatever. Saving a ton of money is well worth it. Damn, good call. And you can remove it, right? Like the walk snail module thing, the whole point is that you can take it on and off. So when you run walk snail, you put it on. It's a little annoying to put on, admittedly, but you'll probably end up just leaving it on, just deal with the extra weight, but hey. Hat Trick says all the specs. Oh wait, let's go back to. You guys watch some more of this footage. I'll talk over it. Just make sure this is coming through. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So I think I'm now done flying the Mobula6 2024. I'll go back to the chase rig on this next file, I believe. Hat Trick says all the specs of Bind and Fly Mobula6/7 HDZero versus Walk Snail lists the Walk Snail as heavier. Correct. Walk Snail is basically 1 gram heavier than HDZero. Grey Hat says, I might have an extra Nano 90. I'll DM you if you do, and we can figure something out. Very cool. Nate Adams says, the HDZero Freestyle V2 VTX, basically the same size and weight as a Vista. Yes, which is great, but compared to analog, it's significantly heavier. When I moved from analog to Vistas, I was, like, horrified. I really, really, really noticed it and didn't like it. And so it's kind of the same situation here. And what makes it even worse is that the Walk Snail VTXs are lighter and it's thinner, less tall vertically. So it's like, shit. If Walk Snail wasn't around, HDZero would be... I'd be all over it, to be honest. But Walk Snail has just blown me away, man. Really, really impressive stuff. The range, the image quality, the fact that we have a system that we can put on tiny whoops. My God, it really the Walk Snail throws the curve off, yo. Light Snail says it's deinterlace live. No way. Oh my God, that is fancy shit. Probably not all that fancy because it's such low quality video, but it's deinterlace live. I'll be damned. Very cool. Thank you for that, Light Snail. Northern Tier says, I updated my HDZero rig to the latest firmware. So far I see a little more stability. Had to unlock the VTX again, but giving it another chance. Interesting. From what I've been told, though, in this live stream, I should not do the same thing because analog won't work anymore. I got to look into that. I'm not going to look into it. I'm just not going to update them. Veritas Uza says, why are you turning to HDZero now? I explained it at the beginning of the stream. Basically, at this place, I've been desperately trying to get analog footage up on the set of monitors right here. And I've tried a million different things, and I haven't been able to get it to work. Joshua recently said to me that HDZero has HDMI out, and it might be the only way that you can get it to work. Do what you're trying to do. I mentioned that on a live stream, and Michael D made me an offer I really couldn't refuse on a set of HDZero goggles, so I just had to say yes, and here we are. You recommended I buy that a year or two ago, and I did, but you're just switching. What happened to Fatshark? Are they going out of business? I don't know if Fatshark is going out of business, but I also don't know how they're going to stay in business. They don't have any new products, and I don't know who's buying new Fatshark stuff. So yeah, I hope they stay in business because they're a great company that completely allowed FPV to become a thing in a way. So yeah, I hope to hell that they stay in business, but I don't know how they're gonna. But I also don't know anything. I don't have any kind of inside info on that. So maybe they've got something cooking, or maybe they're doing totally fine. Maybe they're selling plenty of goggles. I've no idea. But it just seems... It seems tough. Yeah. Grey Hat says, regarding open source, imagine being able to drop new screens in 3 to 4 years when 240 frames per second is a thing, instead of just buying new goggles. Yeah, that's true. That's very true. MoFPV says, did you just get a set? I did indeed. You're going to love the DVR. We're watching the DVR right now. What's up, Mo? How are you, brother? Grey Hat says, OFC, with enough skill, an electrical tech can replace screens in anything, but HDZero designed them to be user serviceable. Full open source means unlimited long-term community development. Good points. Really, really, really good points. Nick J says, YouTube just did the thing. Hold on. Trying to find where I was. Come on now. Nick J says, before you make any final decision, fly them on analog where there is marginal signal and make sure you can deal with the black flashes. They were a deal breaker for me. I didn't notice any black flashes. Tell me more, Nick J. That's interesting. From context, it sounds like Nick J is saying that with the HDZero goggles on analog, there's a black flash situation that only happens when there is marginal signal. Interesting. Maybe you don't need to tell me more. It sounds like I got there. Paratino Photography says LMAO. I'm assuming I made a joke, maybe, hopefully. Grey Hat says plus 6 or 800, but then add Walk Snail for only 160 for a used Walk Snail VRX, and now you have all 3 video systems, best experience of all 3 for not terribly much money. Oh, the other thing, the screens in these HDZero goggles are beautiful. But, I mean, all of these OLED screens are... these guys are all using the same screen. So, yeah, I mean, all these screens are now beautiful in these goggles. Grey Hat says, stream good here. All right, cool. Veritas Uza says you never froze. All right, good. Grey Hat says, Nick J, the black flashes are a firmware bug that's been worked on. 9.2, no issues, is the way to go for analog right now. Denzel Lechelba says, sorry I'm late. Grey Hat also says, when the HDZero Whoop Eco VTX comes out, you got to do a 75 build. See how much easier it is to dial in the motor selection, or just get a Mobula6 2024 HDZero. What is the Mobula6? What's the difference in weight? Does anybody know it offhand? Between 2024, between the two new Mobula6s? Let's see if Happy Model has it on their website. So 17.7 for the analog. Where's the eco? Where's the eco? Let's search their. Let's look in their Whoop drones. 17.7. Where's the eco? Really? You don't have it on your website? Happy Model. Please. Please don't do me like this, Happy Model. Make it easy for me. Please have it on your website. Please have it on your website. Please? I'm asking nicely. Please? No. No. Oh. Why? Why is it not here? Do they have a search? Eco. That didn't work. Eco. Please be here. Please have a products page for it. Oh my god, why? 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 Oh, why? Let's see how good Google is. Mobula 6 2024 Eco weight. Hey! It is on their website. It's just not easy to find. Oh, it's a PDF. Wow. That's not going well. But look. Look right here. 23.16 grams. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So that's 6. That would be 23.7. So it's 5.5 extra grams. Still too much. I mean, that's what walk snail weighs. What walk snail is a 5 point something gram extra amount of weight. So yeah, that's too much. Is there something else about this rig that makes it heavier? You got some specs for me here? Is it maybe not an 0702 motor or something like that? No specs. Nope, they're 702s. Yeah, I mean, if it's gonna be 5.5 extra grams, I'm never gonna use it. I'm gonna go to walk snail 100% of the time. If they can get HDZero down to, oh man, I don't know. Like, if it's only a 4 gram weight penalty, maybe I would consider it, but that's still a bunch of extra weight, man. Here's little Don King microphone there. I don't know, man. I don't even know if at 4 grams it's enough. I just don't know. Maybe. If they can get it down that light, I'll almost certainly try it. I'll almost certainly give it a shot. But yeah, the quality difference is just, it's just crazy. The difference between HDZero and walk snail. I mean, walk snail looks like a fucking HD camera. It's ridiculous. Like, again, what walk snail have just completely thrown off the curve, and they made something that's just so good. It's kind of crazy. I'm blown away. Denzel the Terrible says, wait 1 cotton picking minute. Why the hell haven't we seen that amazing jacket on stream? That's amazing. What jacket? What jacket? What jacket? I'm wearing a shirt. Did I have a jacket? Where was there a jacket? What jacket, Denzilla? What jacket? Kevin Sumner says, did you try taking off one or both antennas like Whoop racers regularly have to do to bring multipath below the receiver sensitivity? I did not. No, I was just Last night was this wonderful night of revisiting flying analog, chasing these RC drift cars, and like I was just having such a good time flying something that was flying rigs that were 6 grams lighter, that I didn't really dive into trying to troubleshoot stuff, but I will. Next, I think I'm gonna go next Thursday, and I'll see if I can get a little bit more video quality. Although, like right now, it's fine. Look at it. Like right now, it's not bad at all. I just need to get this camera off here. This ant camera is no good. Oh wait, no. You know why it's fine right now is because this is the Mobula6 2024. Well, that's interesting. Is the VTX? Oh. So the chase rig is a T-motor AIO, and with how good this looks in terms of like a lack of multipathing, I mean, there's a little bit there. I wonder if the VTX in the T-motor AIO that's on the little chase rig, the carbon fiber frame chase rig, is just not as good. Although there was a little bit of multipathing there. Do me a favor, can you guys pay attention to that? So the next file that plays is going to be back to the chase rig. Can you guys here? I'm gonna put a poll up. You gotta wait. Don't answer the poll yet. But I'm gonna put a poll up. Is the Mob 6 2024 VTX better than T motor? All right, so there's the end of this battery. So that was do you need me to replay that one? Hopefully you don't need me to replay that one. Don't vote on the poll yet. Wait. God damn you. Somebody voted yes already, but maybe they noticed it. Everybody else hold off. This should now... You can see it by the ducts in the bottom. Hold on. Now, this is still... Here, perfect. This is still the Mobula6 2024. So, get a feel for it. Oh, this is the end of the day. This is going to be like the last file, I think. HDZero 097. Nope, there's a couple more. All right, so I'm gonna leave this on, and then yeah, it's your job to evaluate VTX performance, my friends. You know what's really insane? This is with a nope. They're both with singularities. They're both singularity antennas. Okay. Yeah, no, they're both singularity antennas. Okay, cool. So yeah, you guys get to make the decision. Back into the Chad. Kevin Sumner says the eco is 23.16 according to the manual. Thank you, dude. Yeah, that's an extra 5.5 grams. Looks like YouTube snapped me to the bottom of the chat. Hold on. Oh, shit. I'm sorry, guys. I forgot to post in Discord about tonight's stream. My bad. That's weird. That's a random thing for me to forget. Oh, here's some extended durability testing of the Mobula6 2024. we were all talking from across the room. Grey Hat says, don't forget that if you want fixed latency, there's only one HD system that does that. Very true. Very true. How about that catch? I hit him and then he caught it in the air. How about that? Hockey Round says, the real-time clock needs a battery. If not, every DVR file will have the same date. Oh, I'll be damned. You know, that's actually... Oh, man, that would be really nice for DVR files to have. Are you just talking about my button? Okay, when you said jacket, it's just a button-down shirt. It's one of my old surfer shirts. Yeah, it is a cool shirt. It's got orange and light blue. It's one of my favorites. I don't wear it much because I don't want to ruin it. I have some nice clothes and I never wear them because I don't want to fuck them up. That is really nice. The DVR files having the proper date and time would be kind of awesome. So I guess I'm gonna have to look that up. Apparently, I'm gonna have to crack them open and put a battery in there. I will do that though. Metal Dirtskin says, "Are there any HDZero receivers that record locally?" What? Without that for me, it's just in the uncanny valley between analog and HD. Are there any HDZero Oh, right, the receivers that hang off the front? I think so, yeah. The old school first gen one that I have has a memory card in it. Hold on, don't compare here. This is multipathing, not on the race course. Here, this is where you need to compare it to. Now I'm back to the chase rig. It's hard because the chase rig has a camera that's... What the hell? Look how bad this is, yo. Look at the... It looks horrible. The camera is a lot darker. But the multipathing is way worse, is it not? This looks awful compared to the HD to the Mobula6 2024. What the hell? Hold on. Let me check the VTX settings and make sure that this isn't on a higher or lower milliwatt. This looks awful. All right, hold on. What's this VTX set to? Well, the power is set to none. That's not good. So there's your problem. It has no power. Hold on. Let me go into the goggles with it real fast. Hang on. Let's throw a quick battery on here. Go into the menu. See what the VTX is set to. Because that is a huge difference, is it not? All right, hang on. Put these fancy new HDZero goggles on. All right, let's see here. Coming up, and there's the quad. Let's go up and to the left, up and to the left. Come on now. Come on. Come on. What's happening? Oh, there it goes. Okay, so into the menu we go. Features, VTX. Oops, shit. VTX. Well, the power is set to dash, dash, dash. So maybe that's the problem. Let me hit save and let me see if it blinks. Now the power is set to 25, but it didn't blink. So I think that... I don't think I've really changed anything here. I think that the power was on 25 milliwatts. Weird, man. Let me fly this thing for a second. Hold on. Let's switch the battery. Let me fly this upstairs. You guys know what it looks like when I fly upstairs. Let's see if this thing looks like total... Well, fuck it. I'll put we'll do this test live. Here. Okay, so you saw some flight footage. Hold off on the poll answers. We're going to do this live. It's now set to 25 milliwatts, which is what we want. Actually, I'm not going to fly upstairs. I'm going to keep it down here. Jesus Christ, this fucking carbon frame. Trying to get the goddamn camera straight is just such a nightmare. I cannot wait to get out of these carbon fiber frames. God damn it, I'm going to have to unplug and plug. All of a sudden now, every fucking live stream, I have to unplug and replug this VRX. I don't get it. I don't understand. Must have had something to do with the OBX update. Okay, so here's this guy. We're going to fly it around a little bit. What's happening? What's happening? Okay, it was in horizon. So try to not pay attention to, like, the quality of the picture. You're looking for... I want you to look for multipathing. We're trying to evaluate VTXs, not video quality. So I don't know if this is necessarily fair being up here because we're on 25 milliwatts, but it kind of looks fine. Well, I'm on rapid fire, though, so hopefully for you guys... Oh, you know what? This is perfect. For me on rapid fire, this looks fine, but for you guys on that weaker VRX, it's a much better comparison of the VTXs. So there's a loop with the T-motor AIO. All right, I'm gonna fly the same loop. with the Happy model. You know what it could be that I just realized? Happy model AIOs are like pretty much not allowed in the racing world because on 25 milliwatts they actually output more than 25 million watts. I'm not gonna fly the Mobula6 2024. I'm just gonna fly one of these other rigs because the motors are beat on that. Here's one of the ultimate freestyle tiny whoops with a singularity. So that was through a singularity antenna. Here's another rig. Oh shit, this is the one where the VTX is starting to die. Again, we're not evaluating the quality of the image. We're looking for garbage. We're trying to figure out which VTX is better. Hello, Tedward Spaghettward. Look at that fancy new t-shirt he's got. It's tight fitting. Let's see if we can get him to freak out. There he is. There's my boy. Oh, my buddy boy. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Get excited, buddy. Get angry at it. Get angry at it. It jilted you. It tried to steal your lover. Yeah. God, I love when he gets upset with it. This fucking dog. Hey! He tried to get it. Okay. Hopefully you guys know, because I'm more concerned about the dog being adorable. One last little loop. Oh, God! Oh, God! One last little loop. What do you think? Did you see a difference? Oh, God! Just vote in the poll. Or tag me. Tag me if you saw like a drastic difference. Thank you, friends. I can't get to the power switch. There we go. All right. Goggles off. Okay. So there's that. Is the T-Motor AIO VTX worse? Is the question that hopefully we just answered. I'm going to guess yes. Maybe, though. Maybe. Because the Caddx Ant on this is so much darker, maybe that's bringing out the... maybe that's making the... I can't think of the word. Multipathing is the word I've been groping for. Maybe it's making the multipathing more obvious. So, yeah, I will change the I have to change the camera out on this. This camera is terrible in low light, and that location is a low light location. So yeah, this camera has to go. I don't know what I'm going to replace it with, but I'm putting this in the middle of the workbench here to remind myself to get that camera out of there. A little bit more flight footage. Let's finish strong. Look how awful this looks. God damn it, dude. I got some really good... Some of these shots of this car with the little tiny tech deck skateboard on the roof are really good, and I was like really excited to do an edit. And then as soon as I hit play on one of these files before the live stream, I was like, well, I guess I'm not doing an edit with this footage. It's just dark. It's just way too dark. This Caddx Ant is just no good for inside stuff unless your house is very well lit. This place is pretty well lit. I've put these two big-ass lights up in the corners, one up here, and then one on the other side. So this actually has a bunch more light on it than it used to. But yeah, this camera just is on the struggle bus of all struggle buses. We'll do some more testing next Thursday. Gray Hat says the battery is for DVR timestamp. Cool. We figured that one out. I love it. Denzel the Terrible says I thought it was a plaid suit jacket. It's just a shirt. Monitor 10, yes, I think the HDZero receivers on the front do record DVR right on them. The first gen one certainly did. I can't imagine that they would have removed that. Gray Hat said, oh no, we got that. The pads are there, but no battery holder. Oh. And it originally wasn't in the firmware either, but now it is. Open source for the win. Interesting. So you have to solder in a battery holder. Oh, boy. I'll look it up, see how bad it is. I'm sure somebody has a how-to. Kevin Sumner says, OpenIPC is a newish video protocol. I thought so. Competing with DJI and Walksnail, Madstech, and JB both say it's highly complicated, and after I watched Curry Kitten do it, I agree. Okay. Fair enough. Right9 says, yeah, I forgot to post on Discord. Sorry, brother. You can get a plugin for OBS to auto do that. Well, what fun is that? No, it takes me like 1 second to do it. I don't know why. I guess I forgot to do everything tonight. I think I forgot to post on Patreon too. Stavel says my video in my Mobula6 ELRS breaks up if I walk 2 feet away. Looks fine within a foot. But it's fine on my other rigs. Solder doesn't look broken at the wire. Thoughts on things to try. That sounds like either you have no antenna or it's stuck in pit mode. Either one of those things could do it. So yeah, check to make sure it's not stuck in pit mode, and then just swap. Oh, do you have an antenna that's just a piece of wire? Yeah. If you have an antenna that's direct soldered, that's just a piece of wire, I mean, then that's not the problem. Hopefully it's stuck in pit mode. The other thing would be just that the VTX has shit the bed. What happened right before that behavior started? If you smashed into something really hard, then your VTX is probably blown up, and it's outputting a very low, at a very super low power setting. If you were farting around in the menus or something like that, or with VTX tables, pit mode might be on. So yeah, check that for sure. Check that first because it's easy. Matt Artisan says, do us a favor and try flying exclusively with the HDZeros with all the stuff hanging off of them. I'd be curious to know if you hate it as much as I did. The stuff hanging off, not the goggles specifically. I don't have another thing that I can hang off the front, so I'm gonna use them a bunch. And I do have like, yeah, I'll let you know. I'm gonna be using them a bunch, so I'll let you know if I find them to be uncomfortable. But I'm with you on hanging the VRX off the front. I went down that road. Hey, we're done. All right, so we got through all the DVR. That's all the DVR from last night. I'm totally with you on having. It's just having additional weight all the way out here is really. It's just it's a big lever. It's really like. So I'm with you 100% on that. But this right here, at least, you know, the receiver is pretty lightweight and it's on the side. And then I have the battery on this side, so they're kind of evening themselves out, even though the battery is way heavier. But I wore these for about an hour and a half last night, and I was completely fine. And I was taking them on, putting them back on, taking them off. My biggest complaint is this big stupid strap. I hate these extra thick straps. I'm going to do what I did with the Walksnail goggles and cut a little slot in the metal thing here so that I can slip in a standard Broken Prop Crew strap for both style and just, I don't know. I like to run my goggles loose. I don't like the straps really tight, like yanking them to my face. Although with these being heavier, I do have to run the strap tighter to yank them on my face a little bit more. We'll see. Grey Hat says, also, do your Fatshark screens do 100 frames per second? I doubt that they do. But they wouldn't need to because none of the analog stuff does 100 frames a second. It maxes out at 60. Freelojo says, is that anti-glitch program turned on? What's the anti-glitch program? I don't know what that is. Is that in the goggles? Wait, are you talking about Rapid Fire's sync pulse reconstruction? If so, yes. There's 3 modes. There's Rapid Fire 1, which is the most aggressive. Rapid Fire 2, a little bit less, and there's Legacy, which is basically just regular diversity. And these are on Rapid Fire 1. So the receiver is doing the most work it possibly can to kill multipathing, and so yeah, I'm a little confused. The flight footage from this rig, it looks like shit, right? Like it looks real bad. Stavel with a $15 super chat. Thank you so much, brother. He says, thanks, homie. Appreciate the support. I appreciate the support from you, my friend. Thank you so much. Very cool of you. Very generous. Quad66 is in the house. What's up, brother? Grey Hat says, the right 3D print plus the rails on HDZero goggles equals snap-on, snap-off VRX very easy. That's what those are. I wondered what those were. There's a set of like slots here on the top and on the bottom, and I didn't realize that's what that's for. God, is that... See, that is one of the many things that is just so cool about these goggles. Like, I am so impressed with so much about these goggles. It's just HDZero itself that I'm not sold on. You know what I mean? Like, these goggles are ridiculously good. It's just the HDZero system that I'm like, video quality is not quite good enough. The range isn't quite good enough. What's it for? It's a little bit too heavy when you try to put it on the rigs for it to be... If it was like infinitely lightweight, it'd be an absolute no-brainer. If we could have a tiny whoop that didn't weigh any more than analog that had HDZero, done. All the analog shit goes in the dumpster, and it's 100% HDZero right now for me. But that ain't it, right? C-Will says, why do most people seem to fly Bluejay 48 over 96? 48 kilohertz is the best mix. Okay, so when you go from 24 to 48 or 48 to 96, each step of the way, you lose motor braking. And what you end up with is worse flight performance. The PID loop spins up 2 motors and breaks down 2 motors. And when you take the braking away, it has to spin the other motors up harder. So, for example, instead of chopping the throttle and doing a perfect dead straight barrel roll like you would on 24 kilohertz, at 48, the barrel roll is going to be more like this. And then at 96, the barrel roll is going to be more like this, because there's less braking force on this side to keep the barrel roll straight. And that applies to everything. You want to do a front flip? You're on the lower kilohertz, it's going to be more of an actual rotation rather than this. And there's certain rigs you really start to notice that. So yeah, 48 kilohertz is really like the best mix of more efficiency, more power, but not crippling the flight dynamics. There's certain rigs that are so bad that I've actually gone all the way down to 24, and I just sacrificed the power for the flight performance. I notice it on everything. I never really like going from 24 to 48 from a flight performance standpoint, but in some cases the performance difference and the efficiency difference is just too much to sacrifice. 96 though, I've never, and that's the other thing. From 24 to 48, there's a noticeable increase in power and efficiency. From 48 to 96, it's a much less significant increase. So it really makes sense to not do 96. I don't really know many people running 96 anymore. C-Will also says, I tried 96 on my 36,000 kV 65mm build. Interesting. Had a little loss of power, but it was still... But it was still 32,000 kV range, but that extra flight time. So it should make more power and give you extra flight time. But I've not found it to be significant. It's interesting that you saw a significant increase in flight time, but you feel like you had less power. That's weird. Am I maybe reading that wrong, or did that get typed in there wrong, possibly? Northern Tier says, this was for the VRX and the VTX Lite. That was at 8:25. That was like a half an hour ago. I don't remember what that was talking about. The poll is done. 82% say yes. 82% say yes. 18% say no. So that's pretty significant. First thing I'll do is change the camera out for next week, and then we'll do it again. I really want to do a drifting flight edit with the Mobula6 2024 for the mega clickbait. But I will have to switch the motors out because they're so beat up that the video looks like ass. Oh, why did they have to direct solder the motors on? I know why they did. They wanted to save the weight, and it's really nice with the lighter weight. Mr. Dud says, it's not that annoying to put on walk snail because HDZero has rails. I had no idea, guys. Thank you for letting me know. That's insanely cool. Ant BVTHC says, I only plan on flying analog, so is it worth it for me to get the Skyzone O4X Pro goggles? You're going to have to refer to Joshua's reviews of those goggles. I don't know anything about them. I don't know a single thing about those goggles. Here's what I can say, though. If you only plan on flying analog, I can't see I don't know why you would buy new goggles. Buy used Fatsharks. They are so good. They're probably going to be like 99% as good as those Skyzone O4X, but you're going to pay a lot less money, and if you're ever done with them, you'll be able to sell them for pretty much exactly what you bought them for. If you buy those Skyzone goggles new and you go to sell them, you're going to take a hit. $50, $100 at least. So yeah, if you only plan on flying analog, I don't see the point in buying brand new goggles. Analog has not gotten better in many ways. And yeah, the used market is just filled with analog goggles with great receivers. So but I don't know. I haven't watched any of the reviews of those O4X Pro goggles. Maybe there's some magical unicorn fart in them that makes them amazing. Joshua reviewed them, I'm certain. Nate Adams says, I think it's better to look at HD. And at the end of Joshua's reviews, he usually says, who are these goggles for? And hopefully maybe he talks at that point about the availability of Fatshark goggles used for not a whole lot of money. Nate Adams says, I think it's better to look at HDZero as premium analog. I like that, actually. So for you, not a massive upgrade, but still an upgrade. For pilots getting analog now, HDZero is the best goggle option. Money, no object. I agree with you 100% on... For pilots getting analog now, HDZero is the best goggle option. But there aren't many people that money is no object. So that's a tough one. Yeah, that's a tough sell. $600 goggles, and then you have to buy if you're going into analog, $600, $50, $150. You probably wouldn't buy a rapid fire though. You'd probably get the Speedy B receiver, which is really cheap, or the TBS Fusion, which is significantly cheaper. That's a whole hell of a lot. And then antennas. That's a hell of a lot of money for analog goggles. So that's a tough one. It is the best quality option. I wouldn't say that it's the best option. It's the best quality option, that's for sure. But for the amount of money that you're going to spend, it's only a little bit better quality, right? That's a tough sell. You can buy a set of used Fatsharks for probably $200 and you're done, versus $700-800 for these, just for the deinterlaced video, which is not super noticeable. It's so not super noticeable that I didn't even realize that what I was seeing was a deinterlaced video. It did not, the video quality in the goggles to me last night did not look any better than my 5-year-old Fatsharks. So yeah, the DVR though, yeah, almost certainly looks better. We'll test that. I will test that. I'll hook the power play up to the Fatsharks next week, and record DVR at the same time as I am on these, and then we can look at non-deinterlaced versus interlaced, both 60 frames a second. The power play records in 60 frames, which is awesome. So we'll be able to grab individual screens and put them up side by side and see if it's a significant difference. It will be a difference. Kevin Sumner got that. Daniel says, everyone to their own, but unless doing FPV for a living, why pay almost $900? Skyzone O4L works great for way less cost to fly for fun. With you there. Ethan, or more, yeah, or used Fatsharks. Ethan W says, I made a 3-inch Cinewhoop and I removed the prop guards and this thing rips. It gets 12 minutes of flight time with no GoPro, just cruising. Have you tried out any 3-inch Cinewhoop type of builds? Yeah, for sure. You know, I mean, pretty much all of the professional flying, all of the gigs that I've done, probably 40 or 50 in the last 2.5, 3 years, have been on 3-inch Cinewhoops, the ones that I've built on the streams and talked about, you know, ad nauseum. And I have also removed the prop guards off of them and run them without GoPros. And yeah, it's wild. The difference is outrageous. So yeah, I've been down that road. It's pretty incredible, right? Like the difference that pulling the GoPro weight and the ducts off makes. Basically, I have a really cool rig here built off of the FPV Cycle Tooth Fairy 2 frame. And this is my like ultimate do all things rig. When I do these, when I do the live flying, chasing the cyclists for the National Cycling League and the American Criterium Cup, I bring my 2 sub 250 chase specific rigs, but then I also bring this because this can do it all. And if I'm there and there's an opportunity to get some cinematic footage carrying a GoPro, I've got a rig that can do that. Or if both of those 2 rigs break and nobody's looking because this is more than 250 grams, this can be like a last ditch backup rig for the live flying chasing. That's why it has these ridiculous carbon fiber prop guards on it right now, because you know it's still it technically, and I actually don't know, this might be under 250 grams. I've never really weighed it. I just assume with how big it is that it's not, but it actually might be sub 250 with no GoPro and with a lightweight battery. I might be able to fly this at sub 250. But yeah, this I can put ducts on. This will take the Cinesplore ducts because of these arms. Right, here's the end of the arm with the hole for the duct. It can also take these silly things here. This is set up like this so that if I have to grab it, if both of those rigs go down and I have to grab it, I can fly it right away. And with these guards, if there's a crosswind, it doesn't get kicked all over the place. When I fly with it, when I bring this on the airplane with me, I actually put the ducts on to protect the props, and it's just a little bit less aggressive and stabby. But yeah, this can have ducts on, ducts off. It can have these guards on, or I can remove these guards. GoPro in, no GoPro. It's really, really, really cool. And it's the lightest Cinewhoop frame that I've really found that's worth a shit. It's got an AIO, which drives me nuts, but at least it's the Acon AIO. So it's fairly, I mean, it's been reliable so far. And it's got a Vista in it. This will not be able to move to O3. The folks that hire me for those events, the production company that hires me, they want me to move over to O3 for this year. And I had told them last year that I basically I don't want to, because the O3 system is so much worse in low light, and a lot of their events will go into like golden hour and into blue hour. But they, and I basically told them that like I also kind of can't afford it, because I have to get the goggles too. At the time, but that was before Cosmo Streamer, so another $1,200 was another one of the stupid DJI screen controller box things, and then the cost of the modules. But I told them, like, if you guys are willing to fit the bill for the upgrade that I would need to do, I can handle the builds and the frame swap and all that other stuff. I assumed that that they would say no to that. But what's interesting is that they actually covered the cost of initially when I started working for them. They covered the cost of some of the DJI shit, so they just factored it in, and I think they might cover it this time. Which, to be honest, I hope that they don't. I would rather keep flying the Vistas for the low light performance and for the fact that everything is already set up with them and they're lighter. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Nate Adams says, I assume the white jacket in drift footage. Oh, no, that's when we're figuring out shirt versus jacket. Titan says, did you ever finish the Fractal 75 with walk snail build? If so, what did you think? I did. We finished it on stream. We flew it a bunch. Just like all of these carbon fiber framed builds, too heavy. Hated the loss in flight time from the extra obstructions below the ducts. The worst part, though, is that there were ducts in view. The walk snail light camera is not that wide of a field of view, but somehow there were ducts in view on the left and right sides of the image. At which point, it's useless. Like, and so I just ripped it right apart because that you can't fix that. Like, that's a geometry problem. The camera mount needs to be pushed farther forward, and there's really no way of doing that. That's not like super janky. So yeah, I just pulled it right apart. It's just, yeah. I mean that's the one thing that these carbon fiber frames potentially do well is push the camera forward far enough where there's no ducts in view. So without that, it's just I can't figure out a single reason for it. So yeah, I pulled it apart. I put it into a plastic frame. It flew better for longer, and quite honestly, I would rather have the ducts in view be on the bottom than on the sides. Like on the sides, it's obnoxious. On the bottom, you kind of don't even notice it. So yeah, in that build is now in a plastic frame, and it flies way better for longer. But yeah, I did finish it on the stream, so you can see the end of the build and the flight testing and my thoughts on it. Jesus, it's 9:10. All right, I'm gonna go full speed through the chat. We talked about the HDZero goggles on and off? They're phenomenal. I love them. Boy, are they expensive. But yeah, if HDZero is for you, boy oh boy, you are lucky. I'm very jealous of people who have settled on HDZero and are in a situation where HDZero is the platform, the video technology for them, because they get to use the best goggles in FPV. I'm not there yet. Maybe I will be there at some point, but I'm not quite there yet. But I will be using the shit out of these for analog because they're amazing. So yeah, I'm a lucky guy. Thank you, Michael D. So much, dude. Where are we at here? All right, we're gonna go fast. Kevin Sumner says you could run HDMI out of the HDZero goggles into an HDMI capture card for analog like you do for walk snail. Need a mini HDMI cable though. Yeah, which I have. I could literally stop using that and just run these directly into just like I do with the walk snail goggles. Somebody remind me to do that, and we can live on stream. We can see the difference in interlaced versus non-interlaced. Ooh, and I can do a blind test for you motherfuckers. Next live stream, if I manage to remember, if I don't remember, somebody please remind me. I'm gonna blind test you. I'm gonna put a poll up, and it's gonna be which is HDZero, number 1 or number 2. I'm gonna fly a battery with the non-deinterlaced module that you guys have seen a million times that I've been flying through, and then I'm going to fly a battery with the HDZero goggles hooked up to the capture card, and I won't tell you which one is which. You'll probably be able to figure it out, but I won't tell you which one is which. And then, yeah, you'll get to guess. Hopefully you'll be able to tell a difference. But yeah, you'll get to see live interlaced versus non-interlaced. What do you think of that? Layman Board says, can you share your whoop rates? I don't recommend that you run specific rates on your tiny whoops. You should run, in my opinion, the same rates on all of your stuff. The rates on all of my stuff are 40 center sensitivity, 700 max rotation, 0.7 expo. Those rates are very geared towards cinematic work. So if you're not going to fly cinematic stuff, those rates don't really make much sense for you. Everybody's rates should be super personal. You should spend a lot of time trying different numbers in all three of those fields to lock in your exact personal specific rates. But those are my rates. Kevin Sumner says, headed out to get beers with my brothers. Later, CiottiFPV and gang. Thanks for hanging, brother. Pequeño Frijole says, not sure if anyone filled you in on the DVR timestamps. A thing. You need a button cell battery that mounts the PCB inside the HDZero goggles. A couple people mentioned that. I got to look a thing up to see how hard it is to do that. Nate Adams says, thank you for letting me know, though. That is a really, really, really cool thing. Nate Adams says, the HDZero battery is a plug-in thing. 5 to 10 minute project. Titan FPV has a good how-to. Awesome. Thank you, dude. Sounds like I will be doing it. Nate Adams says, the battery I use is Lefix CMOS battery RTC CR 2032. I know CR 2032s. Very cool. No way. 16-bit says the new Ghostbusters movie has an FPV quadcopter ghost trap. Fuck yeah. FPV says, do you have stock foam on those goggles? I don't know what the foam is. It was in the box. Here's what it looks like. I don't know. I assume that it's maybe the stock foam. It doesn't bother me at all. It's very decent. If Michael D was here, he'd be able to tell us. Yeah, I don't know. It's very comfortable foam. I have no complaints about the foam. None whatsoever. But yeah, that's what it looks like. Stavel, thanks again for the $15 super chat. MoFPV says, send me that Ant DVR and I'll upscale it for you. But yeah, that's surprisingly below average for the Ant image. Was it dark in there? It is kind of dark in there, but it's not that dark. It's the cat. In my experience, the Catic Ant camera just hates low light, and it's also very slow to react to change going from low light to regular light. It's very slow to react. To me, the Catic's Ant is an outdoor camera or bright house camera, or bright location camera, I guess you could say. Nate Adams says, with HDZero, you can use ELR. Mo, thank you for the offer to send that footage. It's so dark, though. It looks like such ass. Let me wait until next Thursday. I'll get a proper camera on this. I would rather send you half-decent footage rather than this, like, ultra-dark, like, footage. If you're going to spend the time and the computer time, I would rather it be something half-decent. Nate Adams says, with HDZero, you can use ELRS Backpack. I saw this in the menu. To pre-config HDZero VTX channel and power before you power up the quad. Good for flying with the homies. The backpack stuff is crazy, man. That's really neat. C. Will says, I gained about 30 seconds of flight time. Wow. 48 to 96. Definitely lost some power. That is super weird. I don't know why. That doesn't make any sense to me. That could have something to do with the extra flight time. I've never heard that much of an increase in flight time. I think there might be something weird going on there. I've only flew a couple of batteries in it since changing it, and I'm not. It's not about being good. You're good, brother. I'll fly some more tomorrow. Thanks, dude. That's you should not have lost power. That's very weird. Northern Northern Tier says, which is better, Fusion or Immersion? Immersion. The hardware in the Immersion RC Rapid Fire is better. It's more sensitive something. The hardware is better. That's why they cost more. Brad Monden says, you could buy Fatsharks and build 2 quads for that price. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Not Me says, gotta go. Thanks for the stream. You're certainly welcome. Hey, look at that. I'm almost caught up. Johnny Then says, couldn't you just feed both receivers in at the same time and have a split screen? An even better idea. Yeah, for sure. Good call. Mr. Dud says, that is regular foam. I have the Skyzone foam. I think there's a set of the Newbie Drone foam coming, which I'm excited about. MoFPV says, sounds good. And just like that, we're caught up. Awesome. Johnny Then, good call, brother. I might have remembered that at some point. My name's Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. Head on over to CiottiFPV.com. Join my Patreon. That's the one way that you can support me that gets me the most money and gets you the most benefits. It'll cost you, I need to get better at this math thing, $36 a year to jump onto my Patreon at the lowest tier. And I guarantee you in the next year, you don't have to pay yearly, but just for $36 whole over the next year, if you set up auto bill pay, I guarantee you that at some point I will prevent you from buying a product that sucks. So hook a brother up, join my Patreon. There's a bunch of affiliate links in there as well. At this point, if you're doing an order on the internet, somebody has an affiliate link to that website. It is free money. It doesn't change your experience at all, and it makes them 1 to 6% of your entire order total, and then they can make more and probably better content for you to watch for free here on YouTube. There's an Etsy store, there's a Teespring page, there's a Fiverr page. On Fiverr, you can work one-on-one with me. If you're a year and 6 months into the hobby, and like in one day you want to go get to the point where you're like 2 years into the hobby's worth of info in your brain, I can help you out with that in like a half an hour or an hour. It's what I've been doing for a while. The folks that have worked one-on-one with me are like blown away, and a lot of times come back for another session and just love it. So hook a brother up. Let's work together. Let's all build better, fly better, tune better, have more fun. Love you guys. Be good. Here's some more of this beautiful HDZero deinterlaced video. Hold on. Let me pick the battery from the 40,000 kV rig, because this is the one that actually looks good. It was right around here, was it not? It'll be easy to tell because the video was nice and bright. Here it is. Is this it, or is this the Mobula6 2024? Nah, it's the Mobula6 2024. That's back to the shitty VTX. Here, this should be it. Nope, that ain't it. The most professional streamer. Come on, computer. Come on, you can do it. It should be right around here. Come on, computer. Come on. Come on. You can do it. You got this, computer. Come on. It's your time to shine. Where the hell is it? Where's that one file? I might have missed it. Hold on. I guess it was earlier in the day. That ain't it. That ain't it. 83. That's not it. That's not it. This is not looking good. This is not looking good. This is not looking good. This is a Mighty Car Mods joke. This is not looking good. This is it. Here it is. So this is the best the best looking footage that I got last night. This is a Newbie Drone BI camera, I believe, through a old school Mobula6 AIO. It is with a terrible antenna, though. That's funny. This is the worst antenna that I ran all night. This is the 40,000 kV motor rig. Love you guys. Bye. I'll see you Sunday. Do YouTube things or not. Do whatever you want. Bye-bye. See you guys.